question has been raised. Every time I start to read the Bhagavad Gita faithfully, I get confronted with the idea of casteism, that Lord Krishna appears to be advocating and endorsing the caste system, and that troubles me very much. I understand where you are coming from. I know there is grave social injustice, but at the same time, I also know that there are many colonial stereotypes, and both these factors are intermixed in this perception of the caste and the ground reality of the caste structure. I will not make that an issue for this particular conversation. I want to go to the deeper layers that the Bhagavad Gita demands, so that you are not repelled in the first hand by some social issues that have been very controversial in our time. Can we hold on some of these things? Not that we should dismiss these, but can we hold on to these things to address some of the deeper strands, so that we can address the way the structure is actually stressed in the Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes we need to hold on to some categories and explore broader parameters and then come back to the question. So we are more educated on the parameters, so our question is more grounded. Bhagavad Gita does approve a number of things. For one, this book does not see the world in absolute tranquility. It's a book of dynamism. Things are always in motion. From the perspective of the Bhagavad Gita, the absolute, the individual, and the manifest reality, all these three things are in constant dynamism. Nothing is fixed. The dynamism of the absolute is twofold. The collectivity of being and things is called Vishwarupa, the universal form. And this collectivity of being and things is itself dynamic. When in chapter 11, Arjuna confronts this Vishwarupa, what he sees, he does not encounter a serene picture of the divine, but the battle is as if constantly happening within the body of God. And there is another manifest form of the absolute that would be in the Vasudeva form or in the Krishna form. Whether carrying 4 arms or just 2 arms in the pure human form. That absolute manifest in the divine Vasudeva form changes. That is what makes it incarnate, Avatara. To take Avatara is intrinsic nature of Vasudeva. Vasudeva does not say, I will incarnate in this form. What he says, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Whenever there is decline in dharma, I will manifest myself. It is not that when, but it is whenever. There is this repetition, consistency of change. Consistency of origination means consistency of change. And that applies to us the individuals. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karmakrit. No living being can ever sit without doing anything, even for a single moment. That is what constitutes us as living embodied beings, our dynamism. And the world, the most common word used for the world is samsara, samyak sarati, that which keeps changing. So the first thing is change. Within everything being in dynamism, there are two different philosophical approaches that the book confronts. One is the Brahma, another is the Kshatriya. Do not jump into caste category yet. Read faithfully these two categories of the origins of Brahma and Kshatriya. Brahma, Brahmana, all permeating, all embracing. Kshatriya, violence, where there is decay. And also Kshatriya, field. So the field, space, always incorporates violence. Change is violent. The book does not see an absolutely serene change. For something to change to the other, there is violence intrinsic to it. And what is the root for this is Kshatriya. Kshatriya is twofold. The body is Kshatriya, the field, and idam shariram kaunteya kshatramitya vidiyate. This body, hey Arjuna, is called Kshatriya. Meaning, Kshatriya is the embodied being, and an embodied being has intrinsic nature towards violence. And then the one territory. Kshatriya is a territory. You can call Kshatriya a nation state. So, Kshatriya is a nationalist and Brahmana is a universalist. The philosophy of a Brahmana is to think through the universal categories. But those universal categories are kept alive within the field of violence. This idea of non-violence, the idea of universalism itself is resting on the field that is violent. Like the lotus coming from the muddy water, like the rose blossoming in a thorny plant, that very Brahma, the universal ideals, are grounded within the very field of violence. Brahma and Kshatriya are the dynamics of the universalists and the nationalists. And these two appear sometimes contradictory, but without the Brahma, Kshatriya is meaningless. Without the Kshatriya, Brahma cannot survive. Brahman is this ideal in which the universals appear as the singular reality. The collective is what breathes through. Now, beyond this, let's go to the way Brahma, Kshatriya, and then other caste, if you have to use the term, other jatis are addressed in the Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna says you are a Kshatriya, he is not repeating that this is where you are born, this is your blood. Prakritistvam niyokshati, this is your intrinsic nature. Svabhavo duratikrama, you cannot transcend your intrinsic nature. So there are some intrinsic traits, and Bhagavad Gita goes on to trace these guna. The gunas coming out of Prakriti is what determine our tendencies to be Brahma, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So basic idea here is, rather than resting on the birth, This book is revolutionary. If you see historically, in the time that this book is addressing, this book is tracing to the gunas. That based on one's own guna, one could be Kshatriya, Brahma, or other beings, other Ishtara. Wouldn't it be nice to see a society without any stratification? We have explored those philosophies. We have seen the utopia of Marx, and we have confronted modern capitalism. We can always be idealists and explore these universal ideas like the Brahmas. But the field is always in the flux, and there are always strata in a real world. The only thing is, how is this stratification made? And this stratification, the Bhagavad Gita is saying, is to be guided by the gunas, by the central tendencies, the driving forces, rather than simply resting on his born into this caste. The book is really revolutionary if you think that way. But at the end, Krishna is not making the case that you cannot actually recognize reality without being a Brahmana. Because if you read some of the classical commentators, they are far more narrow-minded than the time when Bhagavad Gita was composed. Krishna is revealing all the truths to Arjuna, recognizing his kshatriya. He is not saying that you have to be a renunciate, and in order to be a renunciate, you have to be born a Brahmana. Show me in the book. He is not saying that. So therefore, actually the book in its time is far more revolutionary than we are led to believe in. And yes, you can say we do not like the Bhagavad Gita, for it does not envision a society completely free from violence. But I have not encountered any society in any historical phase of the humanity where there is absolutely no violence. The better thing would be how to minimize and how to maintain violence, so that adharma, the demonic tendency within us, does not overcome and does not win over the truth, the virtue, the good. And what is good is a bigger question. Again, this, what is good, is something that Krishna does not say that I hold. Upadekshanti te jnanam, jnaninas tattvadarshina. You should seek these instructions about the absolute. What is the jnana? This you can get instructions from the tattvadarsin, those who have recognized reality. Krishna is not saying, this is me, come to me, I have this truth to give to you. Krishna is faithfully saying, Arjuna, for that you have to consult the people who have realized reality. So even in that sense, Krishna, claiming himself to be the God, is telling Arjuna to consult the wise people to recognize reality. So even in that sense, it is very much revolutionary. So all I am doing is begging you to read the book very faithfully and not mix up all the colonial agenda when we are trying to understand the metaphysics of the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you so much.